Hey, it's me again, the carpet guy. So why am I showing you a beach? Actually, this is one of my favorite places in the whole entire world. This is the lovely Lake Cable in Jackson Township, Ohio, just outside of Canton. And of course, we have a beach. So why are we talking about a beach? Well, let me go ahead and show you. We're getting ready to clean this carpet right here. You can see we probably got, just kind of roughly speaking, probably about 300 square feet. And you can see there's a bunch of spills and all other nifty kind of stuff here. And this is just from normal use. This is a clubhouse, so there's lots of parties and stuff here. Actually, I don't believe that this room is actually available for rental, or we talk a little bit about that. Here we go. We got a little bit of Lake Cable action going on over here. Back there in the background. So let's talk about these. Now, of course, this is something similar to what you probably have in your home, hopefully. We've talked a lot about vacuuming carpet, and I'm going to show you some other stuff here in just a couple of minutes. But this is the vacuum, or one of the vacuums. Actually, I have two of these that they normally use. So you can see this is a huge commercial vacuum, one of the more powerful units that's available. And these carpets get vacuumed probably, if the building's used a lot, sometimes these carpets will get vacuumed, 4 or 5 times a week, and which is very, very vital when you have all that to deal with, because you got to get the sand out. Now, what I'm going to do here in just a couple of minutes is I'm going to take my pile lifter, which is this machine right here, which I got to land down on its back. And we've talked over and over and over again about the importance of vacuuming. You cannot vacuum your carpet enough. The reason why I'm going to show you this is I'm going to take this machine, even knowing that they use this quite regularly. They also have several dual motor uprights, which are what are required to be used in a commercial application at least once a week, well, depending on the traffic. And I'm going to show you, there's a gravel trap. That's why I had this thing laying down on its back. Oops, sorry about that. Right in here, I've just cleaned it out. But see, there's a trap down inside there where all the sand will go, and we're going to see just how much sand I get out of this carpet. That's been, last time I cleaned this carpet was about a year ago. So again, they're using proper maintenance. The guys here have all been properly trained by the carpet guy. But let me show you something that's kind of interesting. Now, that big, huge vacuum was run on this. Sorry, I got my partner Jim Hall out working here. A little bit of noise in the background. Now here's some of the other stuff that we're working on, but here's what's interesting about this. Notice here. Alright, it's me again, the carpet guy. I know you've already been watching this video, but so here we are. We're back in this large room that we were talking about with the pile lifter. Now there's a couple things I want to point out here. This is kind of interesting, and I'll time the next one. But notice, clock on the wall is telling me that it is about 1:05. Now, I just spent pretty much 15 minutes vacuuming just from the pole down in the width of the room. So that's probably, I don't know, 20 by 15, I'd guess. I'm just kind of ballparking here. But I spent 15 minutes vacuuming this. Again, one of the things you always want to consider when you're looking at the prices that a carpet cleaner is going to charge you is what kind of work are they going to do, or what kind of work is really required. But let me also point out something here. Notice this color of this carpet. Look at the color of the sand. It'll take my phone a second to adjust. See, it's kind of a goldeny, kind of a browny. Well, look at what color the carpet is. Absolutely brilliant. They chose carpet that was the color of the dirt. Notice it's got some black flecks in it. It's kind of got a bunch of mixed up different colors in there. Notice it's also an olefin. Now, again, olefin has its great places. Why is olefin such a good carpet for here? Because it's always solution dyed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different double doors. There may be some UV filtering on those windows, and there's windows even up above those. So you've got a ton of natural light in here. If this carpet was a post-dyed fiber, it would have faded and been completely yucky looking within probably a year or two at the very, very max. Of course, we are in northeastern Ohio, so it would take a little bit longer. But the color is the absolute perfect color for this room. You know, A, it does blend in with the surroundings very, very well. And B, you know, with that, it's just light enough that it still gives you that big open kind of feeling. But yet it's also got some darker tones on it, so it hides some of those, you know, nasty spots and everything that are everywhere. Now check this out. We're still staying on the subject of vacuuming. And the other thing I wanted to point out here is the folks that maintain this building, this is a private club. It's a private lake, and everybody that lives around the places, or you know, lives around the lake is able to be a member. So pretty much the way this place is maintained, it's pretty much like, you know, the people that work here are pretty much owners, if you will. So, you know, you're not going to find a place that's any better maintained than this. But check this out. So I took Mr. Pile Lifter here, and I used the brush. You know, I didn't try to vacuum, but I just used this big, huge, aggressive brush. Look how big that thing is. I mean, this thing is just absolutely amazing. And I just held the machine up on the step, and look at what I got. This is the sand just from the step. Now, I've got the machine sitting here because I want to see what's in the gravel trap, which I showed you a little bit earlier. Got it kind of sitting at a funny angle here, so that you can already see all the sand falling out. I think you can see that. If not, I'm going to show it to you here in a second. Let me reach in there and get the edge of this. This is at a weird angle. I can't already know. That's actually perfect because it all dumped out. Perfect. Look at this. And I just swept this floor to sweep up that pile of sand, and I may have picked up just a little bit of it. But look at all that sand. Now again, this is when I was kind of scripting this while I was vacuuming along, I'm thinking, well, this is kind of an unusual environment. I mean, how many people have a, you know, big 600 square foot room, or however big this room is, with a beach outside? Well, here's the reality of it is, it's an easy way to say that. Here's the reality. There's a lot of places all over the country, when you don't have a lot of clay in your soil like we have up here in the Northeast in Ohio, your soils tend to be real silty. Obviously, all of the beach states, or beach states, I should say coastal states, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, you know, all the way up into New Jersey, New Hampshire, you know, Boston, going out west into Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, you know, the places that are more arid, you've got a soil that's almost exactly like what's sitting out there in the sand. And that was the reason why I wanted to point out the timing. 15 minutes to do a room this size. What I did was I made 3 passes. That vacuum only works when it's pulled backwards. So I was making 3 passes, so actually it would be 6 total because it only vacuums come back. So I went 1, 2, 3, and then moved over to the next spot. 1, 2, 3, and I did that the whole length of the room, moving this way, starting from there, and then working my way back to here. Then I switched it up so I could get sideways, because you can see the way this carpet is laying. It's pretty much woven kind of from that end of the room, you know, kind of left to right from the way I'm standing here. So then I switched it up, and I did 3 passes this way. 1, 2, 3. Again, the entire width of the room, and I actually switched sides. I came, you know, from this side I did this way, so I was getting it both sideways and long ways. And you can see the amount of sand that I got out of that. But the reason why I want to point that out is, again, if you live in a sandy environment, you're going to want to do a little bit more vacuuming than just, you know, going quick over the surface, you know, just to get the major crud out. One of the things that people are always amazed by is how good their carpet looks when we get done vacuuming it, because I spend a lot of time doing that. Now, since I use predominantly a low moisture system, or most of the time I do, again, it just depends on what we're, you know, on what application we're in. What's going to happen to this when this gets wet? And that's one of the reasons why I like the low moisture systems is, you know, you require vacuuming first. And again, this stuff is light and fluffy, and I mean, there's just nothing to it whatsoever. And it's very easy to remove when it's dry. Once it gets wet, especially with it buried, you know, deep down into those fibers, once that gets wet, it turns to mud and muck, and it is not easy to get out. Truck mount, you know, extraction, whatever. It's a lot easier to get that dry soil out with a machine that's designed for dry soil. Again, the one you have is going to look something similar to this. But dry, insoluble soil makes up a very small percentage of the overall soil that's in the, I'm sorry, it makes up the largest percentage. The smaller percentages are the greasy, oily binders. You know, this is, you can tell that that's sticky. Now, why is that dark? Most likely that's probably some kind of sugary drink. I mean, it could have been pop, it could have been punch, but it's something with sugar in it. And why did it turn black? Because it's got a really fine layer of this. If you look at this real close, actually this is the very last part that I dumped out of the, you can kind of see how this part's got some blackness to it, you know, versus this, which is all gold. And that is exactly what's stuck on that spot. You know, I really shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. This is going to be kind of gross, and you won't see it. Well, you'll just see the byproduct. I just put some liquid on there, and I won't tell you where it came from, but it's the same place of where I'm talking. Watch, look at that. I'll do it again. See, it just takes a tiny little bit of moisture, and there's all your dirt right there. Again, glass of water, shot back. In this case, we're dealing with a smaller spot, a little bit of moisture, and you can buff those sticky sugars right off of there. So let's summarize. Right color of carpet, right type of carpet. We got the right color here. It's a nice beige, matches the color of the sand. Vacuum very, very heavily, you know, periodically. If this is your home, maybe do that once a month. And, you know, maybe just every time you vacuum, just do one room, you know, go across it one way. Just nice, heavy. I like to say 6 passes. You know, if it's a regular residential vacuum, again, 6 meaning 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm thinking back to my pile lifter, which only vacuums when it's in reverse. But you'll want to do that periodically because, again, with that sand down in there, anytime you get these spills, if they go deep enough to get down into the carpet, they're going to get that sand wet. That sand is going to hold that stickiness. Again, a lot of the places that have sandy type of soils also have a high level of humidity. Now, that wouldn't obviously be the case in the desert type areas like New Mexico, Arizona, where the humidity tends to be pretty low. But in the higher humidity states, Georgia, Florida, you know, even into the south part of Louisiana, Mississippi, where you've got a lot of humidity and sand, you know, that humidity is going to hold that stuff, and it's going to have a tendency to want to wick back up to the surface unless the carpet's been treated to go against that. So, you know, you want to vacuum and get as much of these dry soils out. Now let's go back and take a look at the clock here. As soon as I get done with this, I'm going to go ahead and take a look, or I'm going to go ahead and start. So it is it's like 1:13, 10, 11, 12, 13, no, 1:14. So it's 1:14. I'm getting a glare on that clock. I don't know how well that's coming through. So hopefully I've got it. It's 1:14, and I'm going to go ahead and vacuum the other side and see how long it takes. You're awesome. Carpet Guy, signing out. Be right back.